All right, so today we're diving into a story that I think you're going to find really moving. It's about this boy, Jody, and a fawn. And it all starts with, well, a pretty scary situation. Just picture this. Jody's dad gets bitten by a rattlesnake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they end up having to use this folk remedy to save his life, which involves a doe.
I see.
But then that leaves the fawn all alone. And that's where our story really gets going.
Yeah, I can see how that would set up a lot of conflict right from the beginning.
It really does. I mean, on the one hand, you've got this family relieved that the dad, Penny, survived. But then there's this, this guilt hanging over them because of what happened to the doe.
Right, right. So you've got this juxtaposition of relief and then almost this guilt.
Exactly. And Jody picks up on that. Even though he's just a boy, he starts to worry about the fawn.
Oh, that's interesting.
He can't shake this feeling of, responsibility for it, like he needs to make things right somehow.
It's like he's trying to, it's like he's grappling with the ethics of the whole thing, even at such a young age.
It really is. And that feeling is what drives him to make this pretty bold suggestion to his parents.
Oh.
He wants to raise the fawn himself.
Wow. That's a huge undertaking.
It is. He even offers to give up his own milk for it, which is it's amazing. It shows how much this whole thing is affecting him.
Right.
But what's really clever is how he presents his argument. He tells his parents it would be ungrateful to leave the fawn to starve after they use its mother, to save Penny.
He's appealing to their sense of fairness and duty.
Yeah. And it works. His mom's a little hesitant at first, which, that's understandable.
Right.
But in the end, she agrees. And they kind of shows you the kind of family they are. Very practical, but also, very aware of their responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this friend of the family, Doc Wilson, who has this really interesting line, "Nothing in the world comes quite free." I wonder if that's like foreshadowing, like a hint at the challenges Jody's going to face raising this fawn.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there. It definitely suggests that this act of kindness, taking care of the fawn, it's not going to be easy.
Right. There's going to be a cost.
Mm-hmm.
So Jody gets permission to go look for the fawn. He sets off with a neighbor, Millwheel, who has a horse. But as they get closer to where the doe was killed, something changes. Jody asks Millwheel to leave him alone to search.
That's interesting. Why do you think he does that?
Well, he says it's because the scrub's too thick for the horse. But I think there's something more to it. He even admits to being afraid of Millwheel seeing how disappointed he'd be if the fawn is gone.
Right. So it's almost like he needs this to be his own personal quest. Like he's got to prove something to himself.
Or maybe he feels like this connection with the fawn, if he finds it, it has to be, something private between just him and the fawn.
I see what you mean. It's like a sacred journey almost.
Yeah, and you can really feel that tension building as he gets closer to the clearing. And when he gets there, it's intense. Buzzards are circling overhead, and there are these huge cat prints in the sand. Like predators have been there recently. Like the author is really emphasizing the danger.
It's setting the stage for something dramatic, for sure.
And it makes what happens next even more powerful. Because just when Jody's starting to lose hope, the fawn appears. And it's described so beautifully with these liquid eyes and this sweet scent of grass. It's like a moment of pure magic.
Wow. Yeah, I can see how that would be. That would be pretty amazing.
It is. It's like all the tension just releases.
Right. He gets his reward for his bravery.
And it really solidifies that connection between them.
Yeah.
Right from that moment.
Yeah.
So he picks up the fawn, thrilled to have found it. But getting back home, well, that's another challenge altogether.
Of course, yeah.
The fawn's legs are long and gangly, and the scrub is thick. Jody's constantly having to adjust his grip, trying to shield the fawn's face from the thorns and branches. It's like you can sense his protectiveness growing with each step he takes.
Right.
Then there's this moment where he tries to get the fawn to walk beside him. He puts it down and starts walking away slowly. And the fawn takes a few wobbly steps towards him and cries out, as if it doesn't want to be left behind.
That's beautiful. It's like the fawn is starting to trust him.
And it makes me wonder, how is carrying this fawn home? How's that going to shape their relationship from this point on?
Yeah.
It's a great question. And I think we might find out some answers as we continue our deep dive. So we left off with Jody, trudging back home through the woods, carrying this tiny fawn.
Yeah, what a journey, right?
I know. Can you imagine all the emotions he must be feeling?
Yeah.
exhausted.
Oh, definitely.
But I bet also, like, proud of himself.
Yeah, I bet. He set out on this mission all alone, and he actually found the fawn. That's gotta feel pretty good.
And I bet, too, there's this sense of responsibility that's growing, you know? This little fawn is totally dependent on him now. And you can see how protective he is
Yeah.
every step he takes. It's not just about getting the fawn home safe. It's like he wants to prove that he can do this,
Yeah.
you know, to himself, to his family. Like, he can handle it.
Right, he's not a little boy anymore. He's a caretaker now.
Exactly. But here's the thing. He doesn't just, like, walk straight into the house.
Yeah.
He's got this idea to walk into his dad's bedroom with the fawn following behind, like a grand entrance.
Almost like he's presenting this treasure he's found.
Yeah, like he wants to share his victory with his dad, you know. Penny, the one who kind of started this whole chain of events in the first place.
He wants his dad's approval, I get it.
But the fawn's got other plans. It gets spooked by the steps leading up to the house and won't go inside.
Of course, yeah. Still a wild animal at heart.
So Jody scoops it up again and takes it right to his dad's bedside. And I love this part. Penny just looks at them and says, "I'm glad you found him."
Oh.
It's so simple, but you can feel this understanding between them.
Like unspoken gratitude, maybe even relief. A father and son connecting over this little creature.
It's really sweet. So now, of course, comes the challenge of feeding the fawn.
Right.
Jody skims off some cream from a pan of milk, pours it into a gourd, but, well, you can probably guess what happens next. The fawn has no clue how to drink from it.
Oh, no.
But Jody, he figures it out. He dips his fingers in the milk and gently guides the fawn's mouth toward them. It's so tender, you know. He's so patient with it.
He's like a natural, isn't he?
He really is. And I love how the author, you know, uses all those sensory details to describe it all. You can practically hear that little glug, glug, glug as the fawn
That
drinks.
little flick of its tail, like, I'm content now.
It's such a beautiful moment, just pure connection. But, you know, this is just the beginning, bringing a wild animal into your home, especially with a whole family. That's got to be tough.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, remember Doc Wilson's words, "Nothing in the world comes quite free."
Oh, yeah. That's going to come back to bite them, I bet.
I know. I bet Jody's mom is feeling that right about now. You know, her husband's recovering from a snake bite, and now she's got this unexpected guest to take care of, too.
Talk about stress.
I know. Cleaning up after a fawn, making sure it's safe. It's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
But she does it, you know. She doesn't turn the fawn away. And I think that says a lot about their family. They're compassionate, but they're also strong and adaptable. They just roll with the punches.
You got to give Jody some credit, too, right? His determination to care for this fawn, it definitely influenced his parent.
Absolutely. It shows real commitment. But it's more than just the physical care. Jody spends hours just watching the fawn, learning its habits, figuring out what it needs.
It's like he's trying to see the world through the fawn's eyes, huh?
Yeah, it's this real connection beyond words. And I think, too, it's a good reminder to us, you know.
Yeah.
We can connect with nature in a way that's not about control, but about respect.
Yeah, learning from each other.
Right, coexisting. But I'm curious to see, you know, how does this all change Jody? How will this experience shape him as he grows up?
Yeah, great question. Do you think he'll always carry this with him? This sense of responsibility, this connection to nature?
I don't know. What do you think? Welcome back, everyone. It's great to have you here for the final part of our look at Jody and his fawn. It's a story that's really, you know, got me thinking about the power of empathy, about the choices we make, and those unexpected connections we make with nature, you know.
Yeah, it's really remarkable how this story, it's so simple, but it touches on these really big ideas.
I know. And when we left off last time, the fawn was finally getting the hang of drinking milk, thanks to Jody's patience.
Right.
But bringing a wild animal into your home, especially when there's a whole family to consider, that can't be easy.
Oh, definitely not.
I mean, remember what Doc Wilson said? Nothing in the world comes quite free.
Yeah.
I bet Jody's mom, she's probably feeling that now more than ever.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, she's already got her hands full with her husband recovering from a snake bite, and now there's this fawn to take care of, too. It's a lot.
It is. Cleaning up after it, keeping it safe, making sure it has enough to eat.
Right. A lot of extra work.
But she accepts it. You know, she doesn't turn the fawn away.
Yeah.
And I think that really says something about this family, about their values, about their compassion.
I agree. They're willing to step up and do what needs to be done, even when it's hard.
Exactly. They're strong and they can adapt. And you've got to give Jody credit, too, you know. He's not just playing around. He's really committed to caring for this fawn.
Right. His dedication definitely swayed his parents.
It did. And his commitment goes beyond just, the day-to-day care. He spends hours watching the fawn, trying to understand it.
Really getting to know it.
Yeah, like almost as if he wants to see the world through the fawn's eyes.
It's like he's learning a whole new language, the language of this wild creature.
And I think that's a really important lesson for all of us. We can learn so much from nature if we just take the time to listen.
To connect.
Yeah, to respect it. Not try to control it, but to live alongside it. And maybe, just maybe, we can learn to see the world a little differently, a little more beautifully. And I think that's a perfect place for us to wrap things up today. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. I hope you learned something new, and maybe, just maybe, you'll see the world around you a little differently too.
Thanks for listening, everyone.